Hey everyone, Michael and Suzy here from Adventurous Real Estate Investors. We are here again with our friend Marcus Long from A Long Legacy. Thanks for joining us, Marcus.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
Absolutely. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 things that you need to think about before transitioning out of your W-2. So we have Marcus who's transitioning next year and Suzy who's transitioning in...
How many days? Let's figure it out.
Less than a month.
23.
23 days.
Okay.
Yep. So, but before we get into that, I'm gonna tell you where we're at. We're at the Ickworth house, which is really cool. It's built in 1795, and that's here just outside of Bury St. Edmunds. It's pretty cool, like Italian design here. Very Italian-esque gardens and things like that. Maybe I'll show you some around here in a second. But before we begin jumping into the 5 things that you need to think about before transitioning out of your W-2, I want you to go ahead and hit like down below, subscribe to our channel, and go ahead and ring that bell to make sure that you're notified every time we release a new video, which is 3 days a week.
The first thing we want to bring up, because we think it's the most important, is the new identity that you're going to have. So what we've been told is that like our career is our identity, which we should start looking at it a different way. Like, yes, like officer in the military or supply chain manager or program manager is our job, but it's not who we are. What do we bring to that position? Because that's who your identity really is. And like, that's what you need to transfer, like going into real estate moving forward. Like, I don't need to bring like supply chain manager or accountant or MBA student into my new position. Like the skills that I had while I was in those positions are what I need to move forward like with me. And so that's something I just really think that everyone should think about. It's not like, oh, I can't be a real estate investor because I was never one. It's like, what skills can I take out of this? Like what stepping stones will I be able to continue to move on in order to get to this new?
Yeah, I just say, you know, as military officers and the military in general, you know, I think especially after being in for 2 decades, too often, you know, we have associated our identity with the missions and the purpose of the military. And too often we see that void at the end if we haven't thought about our new purpose and our new identity early enough before we transition.
Absolutely. So again, to reiterate that the first one is detaching your identity from your W-2. So the second one is really determining your compensation. So Marcus, you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's really important, you know, that we understand and look at early on before our transition what our true compensation is. So in the military, you know, we get some, you know, tax-free pay. Some of our allowances are tax-free, or we have health care into our cost. And some of those things are included in corporate packages and stuff as well, right? And so often we see someone come to the end of their time in the military, their W-2, and just looking at the actual amount of money that is in their bank, that comes to their bank account, and not really understanding the true compensation and what they need to be targeting to draw in as income after they transition.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, a lot of people are like, well, I get paid this much in the military. This is how much I need to get paid in the civilian world, or this is how much I need to get paid if I'm transitioning out and becoming an entrepreneur, right? But a lot of times, you know, you don't realize how much haircut you're getting taken off, what kind of haircut you're getting taken, if you will, because of the healthcare and other benefits that are compensated for you. So the third thing that we're going to talk about is tracking your expenses. I just want to highlight this real quick. Is like, you need to really understand how much you are spending every single month. Because in over an average period, right? So you need to be tracking these things for at least 6 months, all your expenses, and then seeing, you know, what are the unnecessary things that you can cut out if you go full-time into real estate investing or full-time into whatever entrepreneurial thing that you want to get into, to make sure that, hey, I can get rid of some of these things that are kind of fluff and they're really like lifestyle things, but these are the actual necessities, the things that you need versus the things that you want.
I think that's perfect. And just to tie into the compensation piece, right?
Yeah,
yeah. If there are some of those expenses that you can cut, you know, maybe you can decrease the amount that you need to be making, or looking at the compensation piece, you have to think of expenses that you don't have today that you are going to have after. So those two, I think, really tied together pretty well.
And then the fourth one is really making sure that you are bankable. You know, being an entrepreneur, you're going to have to go out, you're going to have to market yourself to banks. You're gonna have to go out there and you have to show, hey, you have income coming in some way or somehow, right? In order to make sure that you can apply for maybe a small business loan if you need that, or apply for a mortgage if you're becoming a real estate investor. If you're going to be, somebody who's going to have to sign on the line for loans, whether that be multifamily or single family.
I think that's great. I mean, there's ways, through private investors and other things to get funding to do these things, whether it's real estate or other businesses, to do that. But it's going to make the path much simpler if we are able to use banks for some of that funding. And a lot of them are going to want to see some of that on our tax returns for a couple of years. And so it's important to be thinking about that a couple of years in advance and start some of those income streams coming in order to be bankable when we're ready for it.
Yeah, and even just something to add, right? Because we haven't really touched on other people's money, but this goes along very well with being bankable. And that also goes along with your identity. So you need to be able to pull those great things about you, because when you present yourself to others and be like, this is why you should private lend to me, you're going to use those skills that you used in those positions to say this is why I'd be a good real estate investor. And that definitely goes with bankable, because if you've never flipped a house or wholesaled a house or been a part of a multifamily syndication and you want people to trust you, you're going to say these are the skills that I have to be successful at this. And that definitely goes along with it as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So thank you so much for bearing with us. It's been very windy, so I do appreciate that. But the last one we're going to get out here, the fifth thing that you need to think about before transitioning out of your W-2 is your network, right? Your network is your net worth, right? So you have to be sure that you have really ramped up your networking abilities and your capabilities leading up to your transition, right? And anything to add to that?
No, I just think that's important. Whether for us in real estate, and I've seen it in my own journey, is over 17 years, just in the last 2, where I focused on my network, how that escalated quickly. And I think that's true. It just opens up doors and opportunities, no matter what industry or business that you're in, as you transition. And so it's really important to start doing that and building those relationships early on, because those relationships don't happen overnight.
Absolutely.
And it's also a great way to build confidence, because if you're introverted, it's not something you're used to. You don't enjoy networking at all. But when you can start with Zoom and you're in the comfort of your home, you slowly gain that confidence. If you go to 1 a week, then you can go to 2 the next week. But then when you see these people in person, it'll be a whole new world. You'll be like, oh, I know somebody already here. I don't need to go into this blind. And so it really creates a world of a difference. I did not like getting on calls at the beginning at all. I didn't enjoy it. I was getting sweaty. I was really hot. It was not my thing. And now that I've networked so much, you just gain that practice, and that's what makes it easier. Yes, I still need downtime in order to recharge, but it gets easier, and it just takes the practice to do that. And so networking, I promise, it gets so much easier. You just truly have to do it.
Absolutely. And I've said time and time again on this YouTube channel here, it's in any of these videos, networking is the lifeblood of real estate investing. I would also argue that it is the lifeblood of any successful entrepreneur, right? The reason why I say that is because the more people you know, when you get in a tough situation, you're gonna get in a tough situation, whether you're going in real estate or some other kind of entrepreneurial, business that you're getting into, you're gonna get in a tough spot. But the larger your network, the more likely the chance of you knowing somebody who's gonna be able to help you to get out of that situation. The most successful entrepreneurs and real estate investors that I see, when they come to a roadblock, they can find a way over that, they can find a way through that, or they can find a way around that, right? But the way that they do that is driven primarily by their network. So again, to recap on the 5 things that you need to think about before transitioning out of your W-2 into some kind of entrepreneurial thing, whether that's real estate investing or starting your own business, is first, detaching your identity from your W-2. The second one is completely understanding the compensation that you're getting right now in your W-2. The third one is tracking all of your expenses, being very diligent, very disciplined, tracking your expenses for at least 6 months to really understand what things you need to spend money on and what things you want to spend money on. And the fourth one is being bankable, making sure that you have multiple income streams set up right now that can help you, sustain your expenses while you're getting everything set up as you're transitioning out of your W-2. And the last and final thing here is making sure that your network is significant and you continue to attend different meetups and conferences and things like that in order to continue to grow your network. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to smash that like button down here and subscribe to our channel here. And thank you so much. Until next time, explore more, adventure awaits.